So I believe in the expansion of democracy, and in fact, at a time in which democracy is actually being eroded and voting rights are being curtailed and stuffed, we were able to actually expand that. That's the leadership that I bring to the city of Chicago, and I'm prepared to bring that once I'm mayor of Chicago.
Now, please pay attention here, because this is where Brandon begins to blur the lines between the Black American struggle and non-citizen voting. The man that you're looking at on your screen right now is Mr. Harold Washington. Harold Washington was the first Black American to be elected mayor in the city of Chicago in 1983. Now, as Chicago's first Black mayor, who's also a Democrat, I might add, he made it a point to sign an executive order in 1985 that would officially make Chicago a sanctuary city, prohibiting city employees from enforcing federal immigration laws. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the beginning of the end of Black Chicago. And I say that because immigration, whether it be legal or illegal, historically has never been a good thing for Black America. As a matter of fact, it has always been a negative. And if you like proof of that, I strongly recommend you read this book here on your screen titled Back of the Hiring Line, A 200-Year History of Immigration Surges, Employer Biases, and Depression of Black Wealth. But now, to be specific, as it pertains to the present day, illegal immigration has had devastating effects on Black America. And I want to repeat that again so that I'm perfectly clear. Illegal immigration has had devastating effects on Black America. And we have to make sure that we're being specific when we're speaking on this, because Democratic Party loyalists like Al Sharpton will fool you into believing otherwise by taking data as it pertains to legal immigration and its effect on Black America, and they will present it to you saying, here's the proof that immigration doesn't hurt Black America. But remember what I said about being specific. I said illegal immigration has devastated Black America. And every member of the Democratic Party knows this to be true. And this is why I said at the top of this video that Chicago's first Black mayor, Harold Washington, signing the executive order which made Chicago a sanctuary city was the beginning of the end of Black Chicago, because sanctuary cities are established solely to protect illegal immigrants. So shout out to the first Black mayor of Chicago. And with that, in comes Chicago's newly elected mayor, Brandon Johnson. Now, Brandon Johnson appears to be preparing to set the stage for non-citizen voting in Chicago's local elections, a move that would completely dilute the votes of Black American citizens in Chicago. And before anybody says illegal immigrants still wouldn't be able to vote, I just want to take a moment to highlight the deception in that statement. In places like New York City, they've begun expediting work permits so that illegal immigrants who were bused to New York from Texas can now legally work in New York. Understand what that means. The moment they get a worker's permit, they are technically no longer, quote, undocumented, because their work permit states that they are legally authorized to work in the United States. So therefore, on a technicality, the once illegal immigrant 30 days ago is now documented and legally authorized to work in the United States, which then changes their status from undocumented to simply a, quote, non-citizen. And with that new status of simply being a non-citizen, they can now vote in local elections if your city actually permits non-citizen voting, like in Washington, D.C. And Brandon Johnson is most likely preparing to lay down the groundwork to legalize non-citizen voting in Chicago. And he will be doing this by easing it in slowly, starting out with first legalizing non-citizen voting in school board elections. And once that happens, Pandora's box will now officially be open, because the argument will then become, well, they're already voting in the school board elections, so they should have the right to vote in local elections. And then from there, eventually we'll get to the point of non-citizen voting in national elections. But that's still a couple years down the road as far as national elections are concerned. Defying forces seeking to divide blacks and Hispanics, mayoral challenger Brandon Johnson vowed Monday to give immigrants migrants, and refugees seeking asylum in Chicago a greater voice in their government. There's enough for everyone in the city. No one has to lose at the expense of someone else winning. We are disrupting that mindset, Johnson said, referring to historic political tension between blacks and Hispanics centered in the fight for jobs and contracts. It's not about a single pie. It's about making multiple pies. Whatever it is, there's going to be enough for everybody, Johnson said. That's what every politician says. But okay, I digress. My apologies. This disruption that people are afraid of, you don't got to be afraid of the people, because that's who belongs on the 5th floor in the first place. Johnson unveiled what he called his plan for sanctuary and immigration justice at the Plaza of the Americas outside the Wrigley Building on North Michigan Avenue, flanked by the leaders of a 100-member group called Latinos for Johnson. The plan accuses Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration of having bulldozed its way through difficult decisions about migrant resettlement without care or forethought, failing longtime residents and arriving migrant families. Even worse, welcoming migrants into our city with no real plan has left many stranded across Chicago, sleeping on trains and floors, Johnson's plan states. Among his proposals to work with Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Democratic-controlled Illinois General Assembly to pass legislation to, quote, allow all parents and taxpayers to vote in school board elections regardless of citizenship status.
You know, our democracy, for better or worse, was designed to provide like enfranchisement to individuals, of course, who have, the legal presentation of being here. I think that should be maintained. Now as far as, undocumented families having some say-so in the direction of our public schools, I think that's worth figuring out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're dropping your kids off. I don't believe that families, should be shut out of the ability to have influence, and it's why we fought for democracy, right?
No, sir. We did not fight for democracy so non-citizens could have the right to dilute the votes of Black American citizens.
Because in Chicago, Maze, when you met me, one of the things that I was pushing for is for an elected representative school board. I organized all over the city of Chicago to bring that into fruition, and then had to lobby in Springfield and challenge some of my own friends who were being skittish about it. So I believe in the expansion of democracy. And in fact, at a time in which democracy is actually being eroded and voting rights are being curtailed and stuffed, we were able to actually expand that. That's the leadership that I bring to the city of Chicago, and I'm prepared to bring that once I'm mayor of Chicago.
Now, please pay attention here, because this is where Brandon begins to blur the lines between the Black American struggle and non-citizen voting.
The disenfranchisement of our people, through keeping us out of the ability to influence our children's education. The fact that we've criminalized poverty, and that has had a real awful stain on Black men in particular. Like, we have to continue to find real ways in which we, enfranchise people who have been marginalized by this, really, really jacked up system.
Do you see what he did there? He's conflating the historical disenfranchisement of Black Americans with that of non-citizens/illegal immigrants in order to justify legalizing non-citizen voting in school board elections, which will then inevitably become the springboard to justify non-citizen voting in local elections at large. And with that, RIP to the Black vote in Chicago. I keep telling you, you all are going to get enough of this vote blue no matter who nonsense, and you all are going to get enough of thinking that just because someone is Black, they are automatically on your side. That continues to prove itself false over and over and over again. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. I also have a Telegram group now, so if you have Telegram, make sure to hit the link in the description box below as well as pinned in the comment section to join my Telegram group. And also, please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as an insurance plan for myself, so in case YouTube ever gives me the axe, I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those of you who have issues with joining Patreon, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.